Hi, this is Monty. Back again, wiping down my car. Me and my wife are going to go out this afternoon and stuff our faces and spend some Bitcoin money and just basically take it easy. Um, our investments in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies has afforded us a particular lifestyle whereby we don't have to do this, we don't have to. We do what we want to do. We're not beholden to an employer. We're not beholden to the U.S. government or beholden to creditors and lenders and all that shit. So we recommend that you guys take a look at this situation that we're in and see if you find anything attractive about it. If you find that you have to get up and go to work and hit the freeways, or that you have to toe a particular line and party line or something, or that you have to be a part of, who knows, this group, that group, and all that, you may want to consider the financial sovereignty first that you get when you have control over your own financial resources as compared to depending upon somebody else. You know, there's less pressure, less stress in your life, definitely. Let's get to the point just in case somebody calls me and interrupts me. I'm going to get something recorded. You guys are told that there's a currency, that there's a trade war going on, and that the trade tariffs and all of that are causing a problem. And Donald Trump is leveling the playing field with China in order to mitigate the problems associated with an imbalance of trade affecting imports and exports in and out of the United States. I'm here to tell you that that's not even close to being the real problem. That's a red herring. Basically, they want to throw you guys off. China, Russia, and the United States and other major countries, they know full well all of the trade, for all of the issues surrounding trade, that's not even going to rectify the problem. If China and the United States had perfect trade relationships, in addition to European countries, in addition to Canadian countries, in addition to Mexico, whatever, that wouldn't resolve the problem of, we have a situation whereby the currency itself, the currencies, the United States dollar, the renminbi, the yuan, the euros, those currencies are basically worthless. And we're seeing an implosion in some of the more extreme cases in the other countries. Look at what the other countries are going through with the fiat. The fiat model is basically imploding in and on itself. And by that I mean that the excess of money printing, the unaccountability in terms of, the amount of fiat that's created, the amount of fiat that's counterfeited, the amount that's used in money laundering and bribery, the amount of fiat that funds wars and other covert and private operations for overthrowing governments and such. All of that excessive fiat pumped into a system whereby you're supposed to have accountability, whereby you're supposed to have transparency, that it hasn't been the case. So you guys, your livelihoods are dependent upon using a currency that's basically worthless. If you had 10 cents on the dollar worth of value, then you're lucky. If at any given point in time, if one single dollar in your pocket gives you 10 cents worth of value, you should consider yourself extremely lucky. So that's why people in the Bitcoin space, in the cryptocurrency spaces, that's why we keep talking about over and over again that you cannot depend upon a system whereby there's no transparency, there's no accountability, there's no way that for you to verify the amount of money in circulation, what it's being used for. If the United States wants to fund a war, they print money. If the United States wants to stimulate the economy, they print money. If the United States wants to fight, who knows, drug wars or something, whatever war they declare, they print money. So that's diluting the value of your money. I come from the background of being involved with stocks and equities since I was 20 years old or 19 years old. And right now I'm almost 60 years old. If I did learn anything, I've learned that you dilute existing shareholders' equity or the value of our stocks and securities if you are not careful in terms of the amount of stocks that you issue for your corporation. And the Federal Reserve and central bankers are no different. They're basically the equivalent of corporations, but they're in the public sector. They can't just continually print money and not affect or dilute your existing value. So that's what you guys are up against. You can work 40 hours a week, or you can work 80 hours a week, or 120 hours a week. You will not get ahead because those guys don't care and they don't want you to get ahead. They want to keep you from prospering. There's a certain number of people that are benefiting, and it's a very small minority. But the wealth of that minority, the wealthy people, is growing and growing and growing. And they want to keep that system intact for as long as possible. But because Bitcoin and blockchain and such are becoming equivalent, are becoming alternatives for people who are listening, just today or yesterday rather, there's an article talking about Portugal not requiring you to pay taxes or taxing your trading activity in Portugal. As long as you move to Portugal, your cryptocurrencies are not taxed. Your trading in and out of cryptocurrencies will not be taxed. It may not last forever, but this is setting a precedent for other European countries. Not to say Portugal is the only one, but it's becoming more and more prevalent. So you see situations like this, and I have tons and tons of information indicating that the fundamentals of Bitcoin, even with a decline in pricing as of today, we're still seeing the fundamentals as strong as ever. We're still seeing major players come into the Bitcoin space. We're still seeing converts, people who have been traditional fiat holders, Jamie Dimon, you name it. Peter Swift is slowly changing. Mark Mobius, Jim Rogers. There's various people that are recommending more and more. We even called Kevin O'Leary, who was recently involved in a boating accident where 2 people were killed, unfortunately. But he came out and originally said that in 2015, I think he said he recommended that you diversify into Bitcoin for your retirement. Unfortunately, he came out and tried to contradict that statement by going in another direction, as if he didn't know what he had previously said. But we monitor these things in the crypto space, and we caught him lying. And we ascertained that the only reason why these guys go back on their words like that, back and forth, because they want to try and control the price to keep it low enough so you guys will not accumulate for your own financial sovereignty. So don't listen to what they say. Look at what they do and follow that, okay? And just realize that the current recession is an opportunity for people who are prepared. The wealthy people are buying houses. They're buying businesses. They're buying undervalued assets right now. And you guys are still waiting on your government to tell you whether or not there's a recession or not. The wealthy people, the major influencers, they don't tell you. They won't tell you. It's not in their best interest. They don't want you guys to buy all those houses and businesses and undervalued assets that are typically purchased in a recession, because they know when the recession is over, that's where you're going to have some really, really wealthy people, because they'll have acquired assets, houses, businesses, whatever, 80 cents on the dollar or for 80% discount. So in that case, you want to make sure that you, again, don't listen to what they say. Follow and understand what they're doing, because what they say is not consistent with what they're doing. This is just the way it's always been. Going back to the Rothschilds, Morgans, Gettys, you name it. If they're a wealthy family, they've been using these strategies. Deceive the masses for as long as possible and acquire resources, gold, property, commodities, whatever you get your hands on, master artwork, paintings, etc. Acquire as much of that as possible. That's what they do, and that's what you should be doing, really. But the first thing you need to do is step away from the current financial system by diversifying as much as possible. If you, I know money is tight, and you guys blew all your money on big screen TVs and such, thinking that the presidents are going to save you, employers are going to save you, lottery, gambling in Vegas or something's going to save you. That's not how you accumulate wealth. You accumulate wealth very painfully, and it's very monotonous. In other words, every single week, every single month, you put away something you put your money into something that's going to grow in value and compound, hopefully. I think even Albert Einstein talked about compounding and how magical of a concept it was. Anyway, I just want to chime in. This is not a trade war issue. It's a currency crisis. Nobody has faith in the U.S. dollar, and everybody's diversifying out of it. Countries are looking at alternatives. They're looking at cryptos. They're looking at China's own attempts at a cryptocurrency of its own. They're looking at various fallbacks. Ultimately, they're going to come around to Bitcoin because of the purity that it offers. In other words, it's not centralized. It doesn't have a backer. There's no person like Mark Zuckerberg's David Marcus, who heads Libra. There's no one to hold in front of Congress or call in front of Congress to testify and compromise the way it operates. So, Satoshi Nakamoto's gone. We like to put our money in the hardware wallets and such, and that way we protect our assets. But you guys need to take a look at these things very closely, and I just want to chime in with that. So just don't forget that they're deceiving you. It's not about Russia against China, China against the United States. It's all about, let's follow the same playbook that they've been using forever. In other words, mislead the citizens, cause the citizens to look over there or over there in the wrong direction, not understanding what the true problems are for as long as possible, while the nations carry on doing what they do best, and that's taking advantage of the citizens and misleading them for as long as possible, while the wealthy people who run the countries, they do the same thing. They're going to do the same thing, and they're going to continue doing the same thing, accumulating wealth, controlling resources. Water is going to be tightly controlled. The purity of your food and your air, everything is going to be so tightly controlled going forward, because it's all about resources now, and it's all about mind share as well. They want to scare you into thinking that Big Brother is all around you, which is true, but they want you to stagnate. They want you to stop looking for answers. They want you to stop questioning. They want you to toe the party line. They want you to take sides in political discussions and debates. That is all very counterproductive. Understand who the true enemy is. Understand what the true enemy is all about. Look in your wallet. If you're satisfied with your own financial situation, that's one thing. But if you find that you and your family are putting in way too much effort, way too much time, and trying to get ahead, then that's the bottom line. For me, that's always been the bottom line. I always take a look at my checking account, savings account. If it's growing, if everything seems to be improving, then that's one thing. But if not, then there's a problem. At the end of the day, I got to take care of my family and myself. We have to be independent. We have to be financially sovereign, and that's important for us. That's the most important thing. Anyway, I'm going to let you guys go. Doesn't look like we got interrupted, which is good. But yeah, keep your eyes on the prize, okay? Because you guys have been misled, and a lot of you are going to be suffering. But we're in a recession right now. By all indicators, we're in a recession. A lot of major private equity is going into purchasing and snapping up houses by the 5-10 at a time. The BlackRocks and the Carlyle groups and all these companies, they're buying up stuff because it's cheap. It's very cheap. You guys are abandoning your houses and your assets and all that because employers are laying off, and they're hiring you back to work for Uber and Lyft and all that, which is bogus. All this sharing economy, gig economy and stuff is bogus. So anyway, you guys take care. We'll talk later. Bye.